Right, and of course, this is also what is on the front page of most, I think, the Daily yesterday, the Star, that we want to also to train our focus on and give you this particular bite as well. Just on the touch screen, we have this particular editorial. Right, where is it? But I have my intro as well, where MPs allied to Deputy President William Ruto now say reports of a revival of the International Criminal Court case against him is a scheme aimed at slowing down his 2022 bid. The MPs accused politicians in the opposition of being behind the scheme, arguing that they are keen on making sure the Deputy President is not among those in the Uhuru succession race.
The wave of William Ruto ni kama hii mvua inanyesha siku ya leo. Hata ukijaribu kuweka mamvuli, mvua bado inanyesha. Na sisi kama Wakikuyu wote kutoka Murang'a kuja hapa Nyeri, walete ICC, walete maneno gani, tukienda 2022 tunajua ni wewe utamalizia kazi ya presidenti wetu Uhuru Kenyatta.
Kama kuna shetani ambaye ataleta hiyo maneno ya ICC, tunajua dawa yake ni hapa kwa altar.
Hizo ripoti ICC wanapokea, hawazipokei kutoka binguni, hawazipokei kutoka kwa mamba, wanazipokea kutoka kwa watu ambao wako hapa Kenya. Watu ambao hawataki kuona nchi ambayo imeungana ikizingatia mambo ya maendeleo. Hata wakijaribu nini, hata wakijaribu, hiyo yote inakuja kwa sababu wanaona ushindi ndani yako. Na sisi tunajua 2022 ikifika, tunajua mahali tunaelekea. Ama namna gani?
Right. All right, we're going to hear from our panelists. Now, this was what I was actually referring to also on the front page of the Star as well. And where is this particular tone of the ICC really coming from? Ruto allies revived debate on ICC case. 20 MPs say DP's opponents are behind reports that ICC is probing him. ODM leaders say Ruto seeking to use ICC propaganda to whip up sympathy. Gentlemen, I shudder to think what will really happen. It is way too early in the day to start this sort of politics that we have right now. And it's really changing the political tone and tenor of the country right now, dragging all this mire. And this is just espousing also what is really happening with you as well.
I want to protest, Dibal.
Yes.
You know, I don't like the tagline you're using for this debate, 2022 succession politics. You're being unfair to us. You're being unfair to us because it's not everything that we do on a daily basis is about 2022. Mm-hmm. I mean, surely, if at this point in time, the ICC has given a communication that they are continuing to receive evidence from the Republic of Kenya with regards to the previous, the collapsed ICC case, aren't we entitled as a people of Kenya, and more so as leaders, to speak about it? And therefore, when we speak about it, it has absolutely nothing to do with 2022. It's just a present problem that we are facing, which we can face it now, we can face it tomorrow. And therefore, this continuous desire by the media to link each and every of our action to what will happen in 2022, you're bastardizing us as politicians. And it's not fair. It's not fair to us. We have a life that we must live also. So we must confront issues. The thing that we are saying is that the ICC gave a communication, I think 2 weeks ago, that they have received fresh evidence about the ICC, the now collapsed ICC cases with regards to Kenya. And what those leaders are saying, and I agree with them, they are spot on, that this evidence is being cooked up by people who don't want to see Kenya pull together and move on at this point in time. We have agreed that during this handshake period, the best thing for us to do as a country is to try and forge together and confront the issues that continue to bedevil us as a people and as a country. And if there are people who are obsessed within us to try and cause division, to try and paint others in a bad light, then they must be told off and called out and smoked out for who they are. And that is what I think Ndindi Nyoro and the Mheshimiwa who spoke are speaking about. And there is absolutely no regard to the future politics. This is present day problems. If you're trying to send new evidence that wasn't found at that particular point in time, then what you're just trying to do is you're trying to spoil the mood of a country, which is not fair to the rest of us. But it has nothing to do with 2022. It has everything to do with present day politics. Those people who are doing it must tell us what is their motivation,
Right.
on whose payroll they are on.
Then explain to us then what he means when he says that mvua ya Ruto imeanza kunyesha. What is this mvua ya Ruto?
He says it's a wave.
It's a wave?
Yeah.
About what?
I do not know. But perhaps the best thing that you will do is to invite Ndindi and ask him what particular wave were you talking about.
So this particular wave, it has got nothing to do with 2022 politics.
It has nothing to do with it. Don't put everything about you know, you're sort of building up a fight. You know, the president has been so categorical that he wants us to focus on service delivery first. Then at the right time, we will do the politics. When you try and pit his deputy and make as if every meeting that he attends to, even when he's clearly launching roads and initiating water, inspecting government projects, to make it about 2022, you're trying to build up a war between the president and his deputy, which is non-existent and is not fair. That's my whole point this morning. Whatever the deputy president continues to do on each and every other weekend is to support his boss, and that is the person he's a principal assistant to. Therefore, by trying to make every move and everything spoken about him to be about the 2022 politics, you're being unfair. You're creating a collision where there is none.
Right. But I think also it's also fair that then again, we should not be speaking from both sides of the mouth. Because when we go to this particular podium, we hear also Kalonzo, not Kalonzo, but Khalwale also saying, yeah, I want even to actually implore Musalia Mudavadi to join, right, people who are winning in 2022. This politics about 2022, he's the one who's saying we should not be really talking about 2022. Let's focus on development. But when we get on the ground, it's a different kettle of fish altogether.
No. Separate issues, Dibal.
That's
What I'm saying is, don't make every, my keyword is every
I get
move.
you.
Of course, when I go to a public function, I'll speak about many things, and perhaps in closing, even those clips of Bonnie you're showing, there are so many other things that he speaks about, and in his concluding remarks, he can speak something about 2022 because there's nothing, absolutely nothing wrong about it. But when you make everything to be that, whatever, even the breathing of Bonnie and Wale to be about 2022, then there's a problem.
Thank you. Thank you. So I've lost my sequence, but is it Bonnie? It's you. Thank you.
I have lost, or my brother Senator Jeriot has lost me. I don't know what is offending you about what the media has put on the screen this morning about succession politics. What we are talking here is about succession politics. What I have seen the MPs speak to, wherever they were being quoted from, is succession politics. What those who think you can delink development from politics should be reminded, including the deputy president, including the president. They have been saying, no, we don't want to talk politics, we shall only talk development, is that politics is the conveyor belt for development. It is the locomotive on which you carry development. You can therefore not talk about development without talking about politics. It is not an accident that Mount Kenya region, which has produced presidents for almost 40 years, it is not an accident that it is the one which is the most developed part of Kenya. It is because since the locomotive was being driven by them, development has ended up more in that particular region. So we shall talk about development and we shall not ignore politics. Very critical. We can't run away from it. Now, let me speak to the issue of ICC. I want supporters of William Ruto, Cheriot being the lead one on this bench, to accept the reality that the matter of ICC will come up. It cannot go away. When you are in there, people don't judge you by your strong points only. They also go for your weak points. You can, for example, see, Cheriot, that my brother Jakoyo is very soft on Mudavadi, that Mudavadi is the best guy. That is because there is a brief from their party leader that go easy on Mudavadi, so that Mudavadi does not move with Wetangula and Khalwale to go where Wanjiku, Khatiala, and Achieng are. So they want.
But the last time I checked, last time I checked, Jaco is not an ODM member.
Wait a minute.
How is he getting instructions?
He will speak for himself.
Continue
the hooligans of this show.
Dibal,
Yeah, continue.
I beg supporters of Mudavadi to be very alert that this is a ploy so that my brother does not move. If by 2022 it comes to pass that Mudavadi's name will be on the ballot paper, Jacob Mediwo and others will be the first to resurrect the symmetry scandal that Jeriot has spoken to. You used it against Mudavadi in 2013. We know your tactics. Please spare us that. Finally, why supporters of Ruto should not be unduly worried about the negative image being painted around ICC is because of two things. One, it was used in 2013, it did not work. So what magic will it work this time in 2022? Two, it is nothing new worldwide. Even in the US, you saw when Trump was now perceived to be leading, all manner of women came up and said that he touched my whatever and touched my blah blah. Yes, this is what happens in politics. And when you read the woman who is claiming about it, she says, he touched me when we were in school, in grade 8 or grade something in school, almost 30 years ago. So you wonder, if a small boy touched the private parts of a girl 30 years ago, how then should it influence the election that is happening 30 years later? So this kind of maneno, small things will be said about the deputy president. We should not lose focus. We should judge the deputy president by what we think he can do. We should judge Raila by what we think he can do, and other presidential candidates. Thank you very much, Jacob Mediwo.
All right. Wambatangi's turn, or
it's my turn.
It's your turn.
It's my turn. And he has just handed over the mic to me. But Bonnie, trust you. But this bad comments you keep making about the vulnerable, the women, you know, to come here and glorify Trump is really a very bad thing. And to come here and say it's okay to touch women's private parts without authority is not nice.
It's not really said that. I think also now you're actually digressing.
Yeah. No. Last week you spoke about some negligible number.
No. I won't that kind
okay,
of
let me leave that. But let me say this about ICC.
Yes, please.
That I think ICC should be in our past. I think there's that Uhuru Kenyatta and William Ruto are accused of the same crimes and many others. And now you want to pile it up on William. I think it's unfair. Personally, I think it's in our past. I think the country needs to move forward. And in the same spirit, let us negotiate our way into the future. I think we can do better. I think it looks like a punch below the belt. For me...
So who are these who are filing new evidence?
I don't know, but I think it is misplaced, in my view. I think they need to live and let live. Live and let live. Secondly, on Musalia Mudavadi, as I am sure, very sure, that Bonnie Halwale never read the cemetery report, because there's nowhere in that report that it talks about Musalia Mudavadi. And I am not here campaigning for Musalia. I am, with all these bad politicians, I still think Raila is the best, in my view. But I don't want to come here and besmirch the good name of somebody. And he says it was used in 2013. It was never used. Whoever used it, shame on them, because it does not have his name on it. But Dibal,
But I'm getting a bit confused. You say of all these politicians, you say Raila is still good. You've said also
Yeah,
of all
he's
these
still-
politicians,
of
Musele
all these politicians,
is a less corrupt. So he stands out to be.
He is probably as good.
So,
But I think, given our history, you see what it means. None of us is probably so clean. You see the way Bonnie is trying to say that things that I've acquired with loans, he says I've stolen.
Okay.
In other words, we have to be bad. But if we are bad, even sheep have a leader. Even sheep, at a condom must have somebody who walks ahead of them when they're from herding. What I wanted to say, Dibal, is that I am saying, when I say we must have a government that is all-inclusive, I am talking about a parliamentary system of government. What they are saying, what Cheriot and Halwale are saying, that it is not democracy. Parliamentary systems are democratic. What I am saying, in a parliamentary system, it gives even a Rendile a chance to be in a boardroom, the same way Ramaphosa became the president of South Africa. But this thing that you're saying winner takes all, and the winner must use IEBC, which is a failed organization, and the winner must use intelligence, and the winner must use dubious means just because the winner has money. Personally, I don't think I am happy with our electoral system. I think we can do better, and I think we need to negotiate our way in a way that elections are not war. Elections are yeah.
right, let's say from Kimani Wamatangi, then we close over on that particular chapter. And we look at what is also on the at the back page of the Daily Nation, talking of women as well. Dwala pushes for more women in parliament, so he wants also to increase the number from what it is right now to 391. But let's see from Kimani Wamatangi briefly.
You know, Dibal, when I was away 2 weeks ago.
Yes.
And I think by some twist of fate, one of our panelists, that is Otiende Amolo, happened to have sat where I sit here. And then when we met out here, and he was saying hi to me, he told me, "No, now I've understood how you suffer." Because by the time the topic comes to you, everything has been said. But of course, not forgetting the ball that I'm one of the, very original panelists, and I choose to sit here so that all these gentlemen can have their say, and I can have the final word.
And we appreciate your faithfulness.
But however, I just wanted to first correct something that has been said by Bonnie, that because Mount Kenya region has had the opportunity to produce 3 presidents who led this country, but by that dint of fate, that for that reason one can conclude, satisfactorily that there is development that is above normal against other regions in this country. I believe that is a very wrong notion. I'll correct it in 2 ways. One, Bonnie, there's something that is called cognitive bias. And cognitive bias is what happens when you start seeing things in a particular way and believing them that way without going into the details. Then it gives you a systemic way of making decisions to a certain issue. And I believe that's what most of the people who judge Mount Kenya region have. Because without going there, there are real critical issues. Dibal, I would want to ask 2 questions. First, as far as our communal setting or community settings in our country are concerned, we have, you would say, for example, a community of fishermen, if you're talking about people around Lake Victoria region. And that is accepted. If you bring in people from Northeastern and other places to this panel, you hear them talking about a community of pastoralists. And that is accepted. We have a community of farmers in the Rift Valley and in where Bonnie comes from. And that is accepted. we have a community of traders, small-scale traders and business people around Mount Kenya region. And you know, the end results, the product of traders, you know, people who barter and exchange and transact, is those small things you see in shops and kiosks and what and butcheries, and that is the character of the community. But unfortunately, people have now ended up judging that we don't complain in Mount Kenya because the community of fishermen have got more fish than that we don't have, and we buy from them. We are okay to come to this market that we have conveniently named Marigiti here in Nairobi to buy the products from the community of farmers, and we take it to our community for people to feed and then go and entrepreneur. But now, unfortunately, Bonnie, that bias is what has led to most of you, and I want you to, I would want you to move away from that bias and be, you know, open-minded in when you talk about Mount Kenya region. We are a community that is in dire need of development, just like everybody else. I would want to take you to a tour. I remember we went with you sometimes to Kiambu, and when we went around, I'm sure what you saw is not bliss all over. Unfortunately, we have had this misnomer in our thinking of that when you see somebody with a shop, you think that he's having the best of his life, and you're forgetting that in your own region of Ikolomani, that your next door neighbor has got 10 acres where he keeps 5 bulls that you go to fight, you know, and so on. And you've come to my neighborhood. My neighbor lives on a 50 by 50 plot, and if you threw your garbage, it lands in his sitting room. I mean, those are some of the realities we live in. So I just wanted to correct that, Nini. But then on this other issue, and that's just one point. You know, Dibale took some time to look at the history of some of our presidents. And if you look at the reign and leadership and actually the ascent to power of Mzee Jomo Kenyatta, and then subsequently the ascent of Daniel Arap Moi to the presidency, and then the elections he faced then, and then fast forward to Moi Kibaki, and now Uhuru Kenyatta. There is one outstanding character and principle in all their elections, that when it came to the competition and the choice between whom they competed with, something that is largely ignored by so many people, and unfortunately by most politicians, is that people do not make judgments on the basis of the kind of politics or the fire of your politics, but it is on the progressive, you know, character that you that is carried around by you, judged in the long-term sense. And I'll say this as I close. I've seen many times William Ruto doing the right things in as far as winning the presidency of this country is concerned, when it comes to talking 2022. And I would want to challenge all of us. Look at, for example, all the opponents that Uhuru Kenyatta has faced when he was facing the 2 elections, that Moi Kibaki faced, and even sometimes even Moi. Remember in 1992, when we went to that election, in 1997, when Moi won. It is not entirely how fiery you are or how vocal you are or how noisy you are in politics. People subtly, quietly make judgment on our politicians by the actions and what you have done in the long term, in as far as you represent progress. And that decision is made quietly. That is why you find, Dibal, that there are what we call election surprises all the time, that you expect, oh, it's going to be this guy because he talks so much and he's all over the place and he's saying this and that. I have seen, and that's why I want to finalize by saying what Senator Cheruiyot said in those final notes, which is the correct thing, that if you see most of the activities that the Deputy President has been involving himself in, is really about progress. Is about building the nation. It's about commissioning roads. It's about progressive issues. And on that one, I would say that is where he is spot on. And then I would want to say to all of us politicians who are around the entire circle that we don't do either of our support, the people we support, any good.
Thank you.
But by overhyping the politics, let's portray our candidates as candidates who represent progress, but not vain politics.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much. And back page of the Daily Nation today is talking about Duale pushing for more women in parliament. That is what we have at the back page of the Daily Nation, but also in front there, Duale wants more MPs. The number of National Assembly legislators could rise to 391 from the current 349 if leaders of majorities' proposal to amend the law to have more women nominated to parliament is enacted. But at what extra cost? That is the probing question. And we have that story well fleshed out for you on the back page of the Daily Nation today. What do you think about this particular move by Duale? In light of what we are fighting, Punguza Mizigo, of course, also the number of the bloated assembly that we do have right now.
Well, to be honest, Ibal, I do not agree with this move by Eden Duale. Not because of those Punguza Mizigo theories, but because I think there are certain things you can never legislate. Change of culture is not one of these things. Kenya, I think this is one of the most poorly thought out phrases that were included in our constitution. Because if it is about representation and oversight and legislature, the work of members of parliament primarily do. And if it's one is being voted into office purely just because you're a woman, then women have got more majority of the votes in this country. They constitute about 54 to 56% of the voting bloc. They are more than men. Of course, then it goes without saying that if they felt that there are certain things that can only be properly articulated or represented or oversighted specifically by women, then they have the chance to vote in fellow women. But the fact that we are trying to force a certain representation, this two-thirds gender rule, what is the basis for? Even the most mature of and oldest of established democracies, they do not have such legislations in place. It is only in Africa and maybe certain parts of the Asian continent that we are trying to ensure that these numbers even out. Let society choose. If at one particular point the society will grow to a realization that women are better legislators than men, they will do the right thing by voting them in. But trying to legislate and saying that we are forcing people to ensure that within the constitution of parliament, two-thirds are from either gender, I do not think is the right thing. Let nature take its course. When the country will have matured to a level of considering one gender to be better than the other, then they will vote in. Right. I think what we should be advocating for is better quality of leaders. This is absolutely not a function of gender. It has everything to do with character.
Thank you. Right, Boni Halole, as we're winding up, is he seeking political expediency with this particular move?
Duale is merely the messenger. So if you don't like the message, don't blame Duale. As far as I'm concerned, what Duale is doing is constitutional. Until you amend the constitution and remove the two-third principle, this bill must be debated and be passed, because that's the only way you can then operationalize the two-third principle. So Duale is behaving like a good leader of government majority, ensuring that the government he leads in parliament implements or operationalizes Article 81 of the Constitution that provides for two-thirds majority. Nothing wrong with that. Is this my parting shot?
Yeah, that's your parting shot.
Okay. So as I conclude, I wanted to tell Wananchi the following this morning in conclusion. That strictly speaking, all over the world, politics is the locomotive upon which development is carried. And the driver of that locomotive is the presidency. So for a long time, people have been telling the hustler society of this country that we will protect you, Wanjiku will protect you, Achieng will protect you, Khadiala will protect you, we shall provide. We now want to change the narrative in 2022 so that now the hustler's child, Khadiala's child, can assent to the president so that we do it ourselves.
Thank you.
They have done it enough for us.
Right, thank you. Jacob, with you, your parting shots?
You know, Dubal, I find it so interesting that Halwale is taking every opportunity to talk about 2022.
Yes,
There will never be 2022 unless we sort out 2017 in this country. Number one, let me agree with the Bonnie that we are commenting on this.
Right. Yeah, we're winding up.
On the back page of The Nation, I think Duale is doing is what he must do. I think that is, he's paid to do that. But I think we need to use the handshake opportunity to revise our constitution in a very deep sense, for us to have a constitution that creates a country that we can afford as a people. I think, as it were, we are in a very bad experiment as a people.
Thank you.
And I think we need to talk.
Right. Senator Jiot, your parting shots.
My parting shot will be this. I keep hearing reports about people saying, what is a deputy? Is it the official function, or is it a constitutional requirement of a deputy president to physically go and inspect or launch the water, electricity, roads, and things he keeps on doing on the weekends? And the question that I ask myself is, what do they want him to do? Sit in his office and read reports of what GOK is doing across the country? Thank you.
All right. Omatangi,
your
parting shots?
Dibala, I think on that Duale debate, because I didn't have my shot on it. I think, remember the time when we had this discussion here, where I introduced that would you call it a dichotomy of, is he doing the right thing or is he doing things right? And probably that would be the question, because certainly we have the reality of what's happening right now, that actually now, almost 8 years since we promulgated that constitution, we've not been able to achieve the reality of the 2/3 gender rule. And the question would be, why haven't we been able to do that? And of course, there are technicalities and issues around it. There has been, some realities that have prevented us from doing that. So, the question would be, is that the right way forward? I mean, given, the mood of the country, the questions that have been asked, including the push that has been there about constitutional amendment, even right now. So would that be the way? And then if you ask me for my parting shot, I would say we have to rethink the country. We have to rethink our politics. We have to be true to what we say to our people. I believe that at this time in the year 2018, I would want to be talking politics in 2021 about 2022. Right now, let us build this country. Let's be true to and faithful to what we say to our people in 2017. That we are going to help them to move forward.
Right, thank you.
Thank you.
Opio Ngare is saying that Kimani Matangi, you're the voice of reason in today's discussion. The fact that you have had the least airtime, notwithstanding. Is it true? So John Gidanga is saying Ruto himself is the main person who's been propelling politics under the guise of development in various areas. Of course, is it a new alliance between Uhuru and he feels isolated, hence the tantrums. Of course, we need to wind it up. This is not a country, all of them, because of the noise that we have in the studio. But thank you for your valued company, and I want to thank our panelists as well for these very engaging discussions.